For centuries, philosophers have grappled with one of life's most enduring challenges. How can we remain calm in a world fraught with uncertainty, provocation, and chaos? The Stoics, both ancient and modern, offer a profound answer. True serenity is not a distant ideal reserved for the enlightened few, but a practical state attainable by anyone willing to cultivate mastery over their mind. This mastery begins with a single realization. The path to lasting peace lies not in controlling external events, but in mastering our internal responses. To the Stoics, anger is not just a fleeting emotion. It is a surrender of one's power, a voluntary abdication of reason to impulse. The modern world often glorifies the notion of emotional expression, yet unchecked anger leads not to resolution but to discord and regret. When we allow ourselves to react impulsively, we hand over control of our well-being to circumstances and people beyond our influence. However, when we choose to pause, reflect, and respond deliberately, we reclaim our inner sovereignty. The challenge, then, is not to suppress emotions, but to transform them through wisdom. Imagine standing in the midst of a storm. You cannot halt the wind or the rain, but you can seek shelter, fortify yourself, and endure with dignity. This is the essence of Stoicism, the cultivation of an unshakable mind that remains undisturbed by the tempests of life. Through the teachings of Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, we learn that the power to maintain our peace is always within us, waiting to be harnessed by those who dare to think deeply and live deliberately. This guide is not merely a collection of abstract philosophical musings. It is a roadmap to emotional mastery. By understanding the nature of anger, reframing provocations, and developing an indifference to external disturbances, you can cultivate a state of mind that no insult, setback, or injustice can shatter. As you embark on this journey, remember, tranquility is not the absence of adversity. It is the presence of unwavering strength amidst it. Lesson 1. The nature of anger, reclaiming power over your mind. At its core, anger is the product of a dissonance between what we expect and what reality delivers. It arises when we demand that life conforms to our desires and feel betrayed when it doesn't. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that events themselves do not disturb us. Rather, it is our interpretation of those events that stirs our emotions. This subtle yet powerful distinction places responsibility squarely on us, not on the external world, but on how we choose to perceive and react to it. Imagine someone cutting you off in traffic, or a colleague belittling your efforts in front of others. The immediate impulse is often anger, driven by the belief that you've been wronged. But pause for a moment and consider. Is it the act itself that causes your frustration, or your internal judgment that such an act is unacceptable? By questioning this automatic response, you begin to uncover a fundamental Stoic truth. Anger is not imposed upon us. It is something we permit. The problem lies not in the world, but in the expectations we carry. We expect fairness, respect, and order in a world that is inherently unpredictable and indifferent to our desires. Epictetus would argue that the key to mastering anger is not in hoping for an ideal world, but in adjusting our expectations to align with reality. When we accept that people will sometimes behave poorly, that situations will not always go as planned, and that life is filled with uncertainty, we liberate ourselves from the tyranny of unmet expectations. This shift in mindset is not about resignation. It's about reclaiming control. By understanding that external events are neutral and only gain meaning through our interpretation, we move from being victims of circumstance to masters of our inner world. The Stoics remind us that our true power lies in our ability to choose our response, to interpret life's events through a lens of reason rather than emotion. This is not an easy practice, but with conscious effort, it becomes a habit that shields us from the corrosive grip of anger. Next time you feel anger welling up, ask yourself, What am I expecting that reality is failing to deliver? Consider whether your expectation is reasonable or whether it reflects a desire to control what cannot be controlled. This simple act of reflection creates a crucial pause, a space in which you can choose how to respond, rather than being swept away by the tide of emotion. The ultimate goal of this practice is not to suppress anger, but to transcend it. When you learn to see events as they are, without the weight of unrealistic expectations, you free yourself from the constant push and pull of reactive emotions. Over time, this approach nurtures a calm, steady mind, one that remains composed, rational, and resilient in the face of life's inevitable provocations. In mastering your interpretation of events, you master your emotions. And in mastering your emotions, you reclaim your power. Lesson 2. Reframing insults and criticism. Mastering the art of detachment. An insult, at its essence, is merely an arrangement of words, sounds formed by another person's vocal cords, laden with their subjective perspective. Yet, how often do we allow these fleeting utterances to pierce our sense of self, triggering feelings of hurt, offense, or anger? The Stoics believe that the power of an insult lies not in the insult itself, but in our decision to grant it significance. Marcus Aurelius, in his Reflections, advises us to treat insults as echoes of another's mind, shadows that only gain substance if we allow them to. When someone criticizes or demeans us, the immediate reaction is to take it personally, as though our worth has been attacked. However, a deeper understanding reveals that an insult often reveals more about the insulter than the insulted. A person's harsh words stem from their own character, biases, or unresolved issues. By reframing insults as reflections of the speaker's state of mind, rather than a reflection of our true nature, we strip them of their power to harm us. Imagine standing before a mirror. The reflection may change depending on the mirror's quality, but the essence of who you are remains unaffected. In the same way, others' opinions do not alter your inherent value unless you permit them to. This is not a call to arrogance, but to a quiet confidence rooted in self-awareness. When we recognize that insults are, more often than not, projections of another's internal struggles, we can respond not with anger but with calm detachment. Seneca, another prominent Stoic, emphasized dignified silence as the most effective response to an insult. Engaging in a heated exchange only fuels the insulter's intent, granting them control over your emotional state. By choosing silence or responding with measured indifference, you signal that their words have failed to provoke you. Over time, this practice not only preserves your peace but also diminishes others' attempts to provoke you, as they realize that their efforts are futile. However, dignified silence does not imply passivity or weakness. When faced with criticism, especially constructive criticism, the Stoics advocate for thoughtful reflection. Ask yourself, is this feedback valid? Can it aid my growth? If the answer is yes, use it as an opportunity for improvement. If the answer is no, dismiss it as irrelevant noise. This discerning approach ensures that you continue to grow without being swayed by every passing opinion. In mastering the art of reframing insults and criticism, we cultivate a profound inner resilience. We move beyond the fragile ego that craves validation and fears rejection. Instead, we ground ourselves in the truth that our worth is not contingent on others' words, but on our character and actions. This practice fosters a calm, composed mind, one that remains unshaken by the winds of external judgment. Next time someone offers an unkind word, pause and reflect. Is this truly about me, or is it a reflection of them? In that moment, you reclaim your power, ensuring that your peace is dictated not by others, but by your own reasoned mind. Over time, this mindset not only strengthens your emotional well-being, but also nurtures an unbreakable sense of inner tranquility. To master detachment from insults is to master oneself, and in doing so, You embody the true essence of Stoicism. Lesson 3. Detachment from ego, liberating yourself from emotional turmoil. Anger, more often than not, is the offspring of a wounded ego. When someone criticizes us, dismisses our efforts, or behaves in a way that we deem disrespectful, it feels personal, as if our very identity is under siege. The Stoics, however, understood a profound truth. The ego, this fragile construct of self-importance, is an illusion. It craves constant validation, fears rejection, and reacts defensively at the slightest perceived slight. To achieve true emotional mastery, one must first learn to detach from the ego. Detachment from ego does not mean abandoning self-respect or ignoring genuine feedback. Instead, it involves cultivating the wisdom to discern between what truly matters and what is merely noise. Imagine someone questioning your competence in a public setting. If your sense of self is tied to others' approval, your ego will demand retaliation, viewing the situation as a direct threat to your worth. But if you have detached from ego, you see the situation for what it is, an opportunity to evaluate the validity of the criticism without being ruled by emotion. Epictetus taught that we have control only over our thoughts, choices, and actions. Everything else, others' opinions, unforeseen events, random misfortunes, lies beyond our influence. When we internalize this principle, we realize that allowing our ego to react to external provocations is both futile and self-destructive. By detaching from the need to prove ourselves or defend our worth at every turn, we reclaim the power to remain calm and composed in any situation. Moreover, detaching from ego fosters a mindset of humility and continuous growth. When we no longer see criticism as an attack on our identity, we open ourselves to learning from it. We begin to view feedback objectively, taking what is useful and discarding the rest. This approach not only shields us from unnecessary emotional distress, but also accelerates our personal development, as we become less defensive and more receptive to improvement. It's important to note that detachment from ego does not equate to indifference or apathy. The Stoics believed in engaging fully with life, but from a place of inner stillness and clarity. When we detach from ego, we do not stop caring. We stop clinging to the need for external validation. Our actions become guided by reason, integrity, and purpose, rather than the fickle demands of pride. The next time you feel slighted or defensive, pause and ask yourself, is this reaction coming from my true self or from my ego seeking validation? Visualize your ego as a separate entity, one that you can observe and release. By cultivating this habit, you gradually weaken the ego's grip on your emotions, freeing yourself from the cycle of anger and defensiveness. Over time, detachment from ego transforms how you interact with the world. You no longer react impulsively to every perceived offense. Instead, you act with wisdom, poise, and grace. This practice not only nurtures inner peace, but also enhances your relationships, as others come to see you as a person of unwavering composure and strength. In freeing yourself from the ego's demands, you unlock a deeper sense of self, a self that is grounded, resilient, and untouchable by external provocations. This is the path to true liberation, as taught by the Stoics, and it is available to anyone willing to cultivate the discipline of detachment. Lesson 4. The power of indifference, finding freedom in letting go. In a world filled with constant noise, unpredictable events, and uncontrollable circumstances, many of us exhaust ourselves trying to control what is beyond our grasp. We seek to mold others' opinions, dictate outcomes, and ensure that life unfolds according to our desires. But as the Stoics wisely observed, this is a futile pursuit, an endeavor that leads only to frustration, disappointment, and ultimately, anger. The solution lies in mastering the art of indifference, learning to distinguish between what is within our control and what is not, and cultivating the wisdom to let go of everything outside our sphere of influence. Indifference, in the Stoic sense, does not mean apathy or detachment from life's experiences. Rather, it is the conscious decision to refrain from being emotionally entangled in things that are inherently beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on this principle, reminding himself that external events are neither good nor bad in themselves, they are simply occurrences. It is our judgment that assigns them meaning, and it is this judgment that determines whether we suffer or remain at peace. Consider how often people become enraged by things they cannot change. A sudden downpour that ruins plans, a delayed flight, or an unexpected setback at work. The common thread in these situations is a futile attempt to control the uncontrollable. The Stoics teach us that by accepting the inherent unpredictability of life and focusing solely on what we can influence, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. This mindset shift requires practice and deliberate effort. Start by creating a mental distinction between things that lie within your control and those that do not. When you encounter a frustrating situation, ask yourself, can I influence the outcome? If the answer is no, practice releasing your attachment to it. This is not resignation. It is an act of strength, a recognition that your peace of mind is too valuable to be sacrificed for things beyond your power. Moreover, embracing indifference allows us to conserve our emotional energy for what truly matters. Instead of being consumed by every inconvenience or annoyance, we learn to respond thoughtfully, reserving our focus for things that align with our values and goals. By doing so, we not only cultivate a calmer mind but also become more effective in our actions, as we are no longer driven by reactive emotions but by deliberate intent. Over time, the practice of indifference transforms our relationship with life's uncertainties. We cease to view obstacles as personal affronts and begin to see them as neutral events, challenges to be navigated rather than resisted. This perspective fosters a profound inner resilience, enabling us to remain composed in the face of adversity and maintain our clarity of mind regardless of external chaos. Next time you find yourself agitated by something outside your control, pause and remind yourself, this is beyond my influence and therefore unworthy of my distress. With repetition, this habit of indifference becomes second nature, strengthening your emotional equilibrium and granting you a sense of inner freedom that few ever attain. In mastering indifference, you master life itself, not by controlling it, but by mastering how you engage with it. This is the power of indifference, a cornerstone of Stoic thought. It is a skill that, once cultivated, becomes a source of lasting strength, serenity, and liberation. Let go of what you cannot control, and you will find that peace is not something to be pursued. It is something that emerges naturally when you stop clinging to what was never yours to hold. Lesson 5. Empathy as a path to inner peace. Understanding the roots of human behavior. When someone behaves poorly, lashes out, or causes harm, our instinct is often to respond with irritation or anger. After all, it feels natural to react to perceived wrongs. Yet, the Stoics, in their pursuit of tranquility and reason, teach us a different approach. Empathy, not as a passive acceptance of harmful actions, but as a deliberate effort to understand the motives behind human behavior. Marcus Aurelius reflected deeply on this, often reminding himself that people act according to their understanding of what is good or necessary. By recognizing that most harmful actions stem from ignorance, emotional turmoil, or deeply rooted pain, we can replace anger with compassion and judgment with understanding. Imagine a situation where someone acts rudely toward you, interrupting your speech, dismissing your ideas, or showing blatant disrespect. The typical reaction would be to take offense, fueled by the belief that you've been wronged. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, what is driving this behavior? What inner struggle might this person be facing? This shift in perspective doesn't excuse their actions, but it allows you to detach from the emotional weight of the encounter. You begin to see that their behavior is a reflection of their internal world, not a measure of your worth. Empathy, in this sense, becomes a shield against anger. When we view others through the lens of compassion, we no longer feel the need to react defensively. Instead, we cultivate a calm mind, one that remains unshaken by the provocations of others. This practice is not about allowing yourself to be mistreated. It's about maintaining your inner peace regardless of external circumstances. By understanding that everyone carries unseen burdens, we develop a greater capacity for patience and forgiveness, two qualities that are essential for lasting tranquility. Seneca, another great Stoic, believed that we should approach the faults of others as a doctor approaches a patient, with a desire to heal, not to condemn. This doesn't mean we condone bad behavior or avoid holding people accountable. It means that we seek to understand before we judge. When someone acts out of ignorance or emotional pain, reacting with anger only perpetuates the cycle of conflict. Empathy, on the other hand, breaks this cycle, offering a path toward resolution and mutual respect. Furthermore, practicing empathy fosters emotional resilience. It helps us navigate difficult relationships and challenging interactions with grace, knowing that others' actions often have little to do with us and more to do with their own struggles. This perspective allows us to maintain composure even in the most trying situations, transforming potential sources of stress into opportunities for personal growth. The next time you find yourself growing angry at someone's behavior, pause and silently reflect. If I were in their position, with their experiences and struggles, might I act similarly? This brief moment of empathy can diffuse your anger and restore your calm. Over time, this practice strengthens your ability to remain serene in the face of provocation, turning potential conflicts into moments of understanding. Ultimately, empathy, as taught by the Stoics, is not only a tool for maintaining peace, but also a means of cultivating wisdom. By understanding the roots of human behavior, we free ourselves from unnecessary emotional turmoil and foster a deeper connection with those around us. In doing so, we embody the true essence of Stoicism, engaging with life fully, yet from a place of inner stillness and unwavering strength. Lesson 6. The breathing technique, harnessing calm in moments of anger. In moments of anger, the body responds before the mind. Your heart rate accelerates, muscles tense, and breathing becomes shallow. Signs of the ancient fight-or-flight response ingrained in us by evolution. While this reaction served our ancestors in moments of physical danger, it often becomes a hindrance in modern life, where most threats are not physical but emotional. The Stoics, ever mindful of maintaining inner tranquility, understood the importance of counteracting this automatic response with deliberate control. One of the most effective ways to do this is through conscious breathing, a simple yet profound technique that bridges the gap between impulse and reason. When anger begins to rise, your body sends urgent signals to act, to lash out, to defend. Without intervention, this physiological state can escalate, making it difficult to think clearly or respond rationally. Controlled breathing interrupts this process, creating a pause, a space in which reason can regain control. By slowing down your breath, you send a signal to your nervous system that there is no real danger, allowing your body to relax and your mind to remain composed. The technique is simple yet powerful. Inhale deeply for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, and exhale slowly for 8 counts. Repeat this cycle several times, focusing entirely on your breath. This not only calms your physiological response, but also grounds your attention in the present moment, pulling you away from the whirlwind of reactive thoughts. Each breath becomes an anchor, tethering you to calmness amidst the storm of emotion. Beyond its immediate calming effect, regular practice of controlled breathing enhances your long-term emotional resilience. Over time, Your nervous system becomes less reactive to triggers, and you find yourself responding to stressful situations with greater clarity and composure. The Stoics valued this kind of self-discipline, knowing that true strength lies not in the ability to overpower others, but in the ability to master oneself. Incorporating this practice into your daily life can transform how you handle conflict. Begin your day with a few minutes of focused breathing to set a tone of calm intention. During the day, whenever you feel stress or irritation building, return to your breath. This conscious act of slowing down allows you to reset, ensuring that your actions are guided by reason rather than impulsive emotion. Additionally, pairing this breathing technique with a calming affirmation can reinforce your mindset of tranquility. As you exhale, silently repeat a phrase such as, "I am in control," or "This moment will pass." This combination of physical and mental discipline fosters a deeper sense of inner stability, reminding you that no external event has the power to disturb your peace unless you allow it. The next time anger begins to bubble up within you, resist the urge to react immediately. Instead, take a deep breath, hold it, and exhale slowly. Feel the tension in your body begin to melt away, and in that brief moment of stillness, reclaim your power. Mastering this practice is not just about avoiding anger. It is about cultivating a state of mind that remains unshaken by life's inevitable provocations. It is a skill that, once developed, becomes a cornerstone of emotional mastery, allowing you to face any challenge with poise and grace. Lesson 7. Practicing premeditation, preparing your mind for life's uncertainties. Life is filled with unforeseen challenges, moments that catch us off guard and provoke frustration, disappointment, or even despair. The Stoics, in their pursuit of emotional mastery, developed a powerful practice known as premeditation malorum, the premeditation of evils. This ancient technique involves mentally preparing for potential setbacks and difficulties before they occur. By contemplating life's uncertainties in advance, we reduce their emotional impact when they inevitably arise, allowing us to respond with calmness and reason. The modern mind often seeks comfort in the illusion of control, believing that careful planning and effort can shield us from all hardship. Yet, reality is indifferent to our desires. Unexpected delays, conflicts, and losses are part of the human experience, and resisting them only deepens our suffering. The Stoics understood that while we cannot dictate external events, we can condition our minds to face them with resilience. Practicing premeditation doesn't mean dwelling on negative outcomes. It means equipping ourselves with the mental fortitude to remain composed when things don't go as planned. Imagine preparing for a journey. You anticipate possible disruptions, a delayed flight, inclement weather, or lost luggage. By envisioning these scenarios in advance, you mentally rehearse your response, acceptance rather than frustration. So, when the delay or inconvenience occurs, it does not catch you by surprise. You have already prepared yourself to face it with grace. This mindset shift transforms what could have been a source of stress into a neutral event, one that you navigate calmly. Premeditation is not limited to external events. It also applies to interpersonal interactions. Before a potentially difficult conversation, consider the possibility that the other person may react negatively. Rather than expecting perfect understanding, prepare yourself for disagreement. This mental preparation creates a buffer between you and the situation, ensuring that you don't react impulsively if tensions rise. Instead, you remain grounded, able to respond thoughtfully rather than emotionally. Over time, the practice of premeditation cultivates a profound sense of inner stability. By rehearsing life's uncertainties, you diminish their power to disturb you. You come to accept that setbacks and obstacles are not aberrations. They are an inherent part of existence. This acceptance fosters a mindset of adaptability, allowing you to flow with life's changes rather than resist them. At the start of each day, take a moment to reflect on potential challenges you may face. an unexpected workload, a critical remark, or even a minor inconvenience like traffic. Visualize yourself handling these situations with calm and poise. Ask yourself, how can I respond in a way that aligns with my values and maintains my peace of mind? This simple exercise strengthens your ability to remain composed in real-life situations, as your mind has already rehearsed the possible outcomes. Premeditation is not an invitation to pessimism, but a call to realism. It is about recognizing that while life can be unpredictable, your inner world can remain steady. By preparing your mind for life's inevitable trials, you develop the strength to face them with dignity and wisdom. In practicing premeditation, you are not merely reacting to life. You are actively shaping how you engage with it, ensuring that no challenge, however great, can shake your inner tranquility. Lesson 8. Reducing the influence of triggers, breaking free from emotional habits. Triggers are the unseen architects of our emotional reactions, those subtle cues in our environment or interactions that evoke intense, often impulsive, responses. Whether it's a critical remark, an unexpected inconvenience, or a tone of voice that reminds us of past frustrations, these triggers can control our emotions if left unchecked. The Stoics, ever focused on self-mastery, recognized that true freedom lies in weakening the hold of these triggers, enabling us to respond thoughtfully rather than react reflexively. A trigger is not inherently powerful. Its influence comes from our attachment to it. Perhaps a colleague's dismissive attitude provokes anger because it echoes a past experience where you felt unappreciated. Or maybe a minor setback stirs frustration because it challenges your desire for control. In these moments, it's easy to feel as though the trigger is in command, dragging you into a whirlwind of emotion. But the Stoics teach us that while we cannot always eliminate triggers, we can change how we respond to them. The first step in reducing the influence of triggers is self-awareness. Pay close attention to the situations that provoke strong emotional reactions. When you feel anger, frustration, or anxiety bubbling up, pause and ask yourself, what exactly is causing this reaction? Is it the event itself, or is it my interpretation of it? This process of introspection helps illuminate the hidden patterns underlying your responses, allowing you to anticipate future triggers more effectively. Once you've identified your primary triggers, the next step is gradual exposure and mindful practice. Deliberately place yourself in mildly triggering situations, but with the intention of observing your emotions rather than being consumed by them. For instance, if criticism tends to evoke defensiveness, practice listening to feedback with an open mind, reminding yourself that it is merely an opinion, not a verdict on your worth. Over time, this approach builds emotional tolerance, making it easier to remain calm when confronted by more intense triggers. Mindfulness is a crucial tool in this process. By cultivating the ability to observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment, you create a space between stimulus and response, a space where you can choose how to act. This practice weakens the automatic nature of triggers, transforming them from controlling forces into mere signals. With consistent mindfulness, you become less reactive and more deliberate in your actions, fostering a sense of inner stability that remains unshaken by external events. Additionally, combining mindfulness with techniques such as deep breathing or mental reframing can further reduce the grip of triggers. When confronted by a triggering situation, take a few deep breaths to calm your nervous system. Simultaneously, remind yourself that the trigger is a temporary sensation, one that does not have to dictate your response. Visualization can also be a powerful aid. Imagine yourself handling the situation with poise and detachment, reinforcing a sense of calm confidence. Over time, as you continue to weaken the influence of triggers, you will notice a profound shift in how you engage with the world. You will no longer be at the mercy of every annoyance or provocation. Instead, you will navigate life with a steady mind, free from the chains of emotional habits that once controlled you. This is not merely a technique for avoiding discomfort. It is a path to true self-mastery, one that empowers you to live with intention, clarity, and peace. The next time you encounter a trigger, pause and reflect. Is this worth my peace of mind? In that moment of reflection, you reclaim your power, ensuring that your emotions are governed by reason rather than impulse. By reducing the influence of triggers, you cultivate a life guided by thoughtful action, where your serenity is no longer contingent on the whims of the external world, but rooted firmly within yourself. This practice, at its core, embodies the Stoic ideal of inner freedom, the ability to remain sovereign over your mind, no matter what life may throw your way. Lesson 9. The role of humor, turning life's trials into lightness. Life is filled with challenges, frustrations, and moments that threaten to steal our inner peace. Yet, amid these inevitable difficulties, the Stoics offer an unexpected remedy: humor. While often seen as serious philosophers, Stoics like Seneca understood that the ability to find lightness in life's hardships is not a sign of weakness, but a profound expression of wisdom. Humor, when wielded with grace, becomes a powerful tool for diffusing tension, shifting perspective, and maintaining emotional equilibrium. When faced with a frustrating situation, a rude comment, an unexpected delay, or a trivial setback, it is easy to fall into the trap of anger or irritation. These emotions arise from taking the situation too seriously, as though it holds some grand significance over your well-being. Humor, however, offers an alternative. It invites us to step back, detach from the intensity of the moment, and see the absurdity in it. By reframing the situation through humor, we break the emotional grip it holds on us, allowing us to respond with calm rather than conflict. Imagine, for instance, that a colleague makes a sarcastic remark during a meeting. Without humor, your ego might compel you to respond defensively, escalating the tension. But by choosing humor, you can disarm the situation, perhaps with a playful remark or a light-hearted smile. In doing so, you not only preserve your own peace, but also dissolve the potential for conflict. Humor, in this sense, is not merely a deflection. It is a form of strength, a declaration that no external circumstance has the power to disturb your inner tranquility. Seneca believed that life's burdens could be lightened by finding amusement even in adversity. He argued that laughter, when directed wisely, allows us to regain perspective and prevent small annoyances from growing into unnecessary suffering. This is not to say that we should laugh at serious matters or use humor to avoid genuine emotions, but rather that we should learn to see life's trivial trials for what they are, fleeting inconveniences unworthy of our distress. Practicing humor in difficult moments requires a shift in mindset. Instead of immediately reacting with frustration, pause and ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? More often than not, the answer is no. From this broader perspective, the situation loses its weight, making it easier to find something amusing in it. Over time, this practice cultivates a natural inclination to respond with lightness, even in moments that once provoked irritation. Another powerful aspect of humor is its ability to foster resilience. By frequently finding amusement in life's minor annoyances, you train your mind to remain flexible and adaptable. Humor softens the sharp edges of hardship, reminding us that life, with all its unpredictability, need not always be taken so seriously. This lighthearted approach strengthens our ability to endure difficulties without becoming bitter or overwhelmed. Additionally, humor has a unifying effect on relationships. When used thoughtfully, it can diffuse arguments, bridge misunderstandings, and foster a sense of connection. In moments of tension, a well-timed laugh shared with another can turn potential conflict into a moment of shared humanity. The Stoics recognize that while we cannot always control others' actions, we can influence the tone of an interaction by choosing how we respond. Humor, when employed with wisdom, becomes a bridge to understanding, helping us navigate even the most challenging interpersonal dynamics with grace. The next time you find yourself in a frustrating situation, pause and search for a humorous angle. Ask yourself, is there something about this that I might laugh at later? By reframing the moment in this way, you strip it of its power to provoke anger. With practice, you'll find that humor becomes a natural response, allowing you to face life's unpredictability with a calm and cheerful spirit. In the end, the role of humor in Stoicism is not to dismiss life's challenges, but to remind us of their transient nature. By choosing laughter over frustration, we reclaim our power, ensuring that we remain the authors of our emotional state. Humor, then, is more than a coping mechanism. It is a way of living lightly, anchored in wisdom and resilience. To master this practice is to embody a Stoic truth. Life, though serious in many respects, is best approached with a spirit of light-hearted strength. Lesson 10. The ultimate goal: cultivating an unshakable mind. The Stoics did not seek to eliminate emotions entirely, but rather to achieve a state of tranquility where emotions no longer dictate their actions. They understood that emotions are a natural part of being human, but when allowed to dominate, they lead to impulsive reactions, poor judgment, and unnecessary suffering. The ultimate goal of Stoic practice is not emotional suppression, but the cultivation of an unshakable mind, a mind that remains calm, clear, and composed in the face of life's ever-changing circumstances. This tranquil state of mind is achieved by mastering the art of detachment. Detachment, in Stoic philosophy, does not mean disengagement from life, but rather an inner separation from the desire to control external events. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that the world operates according to its own nature, not our preferences. We suffer not because of the world itself, but because we insist it should be different. The Stoic approach is simple in theory yet profound in practice. Align your expectations with reality, and you will find peace. But cultivating such a mindset is not a passive endeavor. It requires daily effort and deliberate practice. Each morning, set a clear intention to remain calm and composed, regardless of what unfolds. Visualize potential challenges you may face, a disagreement, a setback, or an unforeseen delay, and mentally rehearse responding to them with poise. By preparing your mind in advance, you create a buffer against the emotional turbulence that might otherwise ensue. Throughout the day, practice self-awareness. When you notice emotions beginning to rise, pause and observe them without judgment. Ask yourself, is this worth disturbing my peace? This brief moment of reflection gives you the power to choose your response, rather than being swept away by reactive impulses. Over time, this practice strengthens your inner stability, transforming moments of potential chaos into opportunities for mastery. Tranquility, as the Stoics envisioned it, is not a passive state of indifference, but an active engagement with life from a place of inner stillness. It means facing difficulties without losing your composure, making decisions guided by reason rather than emotion, and interacting with others from a foundation of empathy and wisdom. This kind of tranquility becomes a source of strength, an anchor that keeps you steady amidst the storms of life. Seneca believed that tranquility is a reflection of self-mastery. When we are no longer swayed by every external event, when insults, setbacks, and unforeseen challenges no longer provoke us, we become truly free. This freedom is not about escaping the world, but about engaging with it fully, while remaining rooted in an inner calm that nothing external can shake. At the end of each day, take time to reflect on how well you upheld your intention to remain calm. Acknowledge the moments when you succeeded and learn from those when you faltered. Consider keeping a journal to track your progress, noting specific instances where you maintained your composure and areas where you could improve. This practice deepens your self-awareness and reinforces your commitment to cultivating a tranquil mind. To cultivate an unshakable mind is to reclaim your power, to ensure that your peace is no longer contingent on the behavior of others or the unpredictability of life. It is a gradual process, one that requires patience and persistence, but the rewards are immeasurable. As you strengthen your ability to remain calm and composed, you will find that life's challenges no longer dominate you. Instead, you will navigate them with wisdom, grace, and a serene confidence rooted in the knowledge that, while you cannot control the external world, you can always control yourself. This, ultimately, is the Stoic ideal: to live fully, to engage meaningfully, and to remain undisturbed by life's inevitable trials. By cultivating an unshakable mind, you not only free yourself from the grip of reactive emotions, but also become a beacon of calm and strength in a turbulent world. Let this be your daily practice, your path to lasting peace and inner freedom. Conclusion: to never get angry or bothered by anyone is not about becoming indifferent to life or suppressing your emotions. It is about cultivating the mental strength to respond to life with wisdom, clarity, and composure. The Stoics understood that the only true freedom we possess is the freedom over our minds. External events may be beyond our control, but our reactions to them are entirely within our power. By mastering your emotions, reframing negative experiences, and embracing the unpredictability of life, you reclaim this inner freedom and rise above the chaos of the world. Each lesson you've encountered, whether it's understanding the nature of anger, detaching from ego, or practicing premeditation, serves as a stepping stone on your path toward a more resilient and tranquil mind. This journey is not about perfection. It is about progress. With consistent practice, you will find that what once provoked you no longer holds the same power, and you will walk through life with a sense of calm that few ever attain. As you move forward, remember that mastery of the self is a lifelong pursuit. There will be moments when you falter, but every setback is an opportunity to strengthen your resolve. Stay committed to the principles of Stoicism, and over time, you will cultivate a mind that remains steady, a heart that remains open, and a spirit that remains undisturbed, no matter what life brings. If this guide resonated with you, consider subscribing to our channel for more insights into Stoicism, ancient philosophy, and personal growth. Together, we can explore the timeless wisdom that has inspired countless individuals to live with purpose, strength, and tranquility. Let us walk this path together, one of wisdom, resilience, and the pursuit of a life well lived.